thank you all so much for being here. This is very important for the city to be able to partner with so many fine institutions that we have in the city of Pittsburgh, from our authorities to our institutions of higher ed to many different organizations. Thank you all for representing your business, your organization, and that we may collaborate in order to increase opportunities for women-owned businesses. This is the name of the game. Today is the day of it's International Women's Day. So it's very, very symbolic that we are here to talk about not just women, but empowering women, building wealth, putting a stake into the fabric, the economic fabric of our region. I want to thank Rick Williams, who will be speaking very briefly after myself and Dr. Ruffin, right, Rick? And he has some things as far as the order, basically housekeeping. But anyway, it is the business behind the work. Thank you to Carlow University so much. Thank you to Dr. Jessica Ruffin, who will be speaking. She is the Director of Social Justice Institute here at Carlow, and she has been a great resource. I want to thank Dr. Allison Lowe, who I've known for some years now, and has seen her progression and her transition, and now as Dean here at Carlow University. We have sponsors to thank: PowerLink for the lunch, Anita Brittina, did I say the name right? Thank you so much, Anita. For Celeste Cafe Associates, did I do that right? Did I tear it up? But Celeste Cafe and Huntington Bank, to Barada Bay at Huntington Bank for sponsoring the ability to be here without any charge to you all. The Equal Opportunity Review Commission, we have staff. Emily Pontarelli. Emily, where are you at? Emily has been quite a point person in getting things organized with all the logistics. Thank you, Emily. She is our administrator of EORC, Equal Opportunity Review Commission at the city. And Chuck Durham, who is new to EORC, he is a coordinator. Thank you, Chuck. Two commissioners are here with us, Andrea Vasquez and Demisha Sills. They are commissioners. They are appointed by the mayor of the Equal Opportunity Review Commission, and they review all of the contracts that within certain parameters that go through the city to make sure that there are women and minority-owned business participation. So thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Demisha, for all your efforts in helping pull this. And Dr. Barry Nathan. Thank you, Barry. Not on it. There we go. Thank you. Sorry about that. So without further ado, I would like to, so we can get started, I would like to introduce Jessica Ruffin. Jessica, thank you.
Good morning. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you to Carlow University for the City of Pittsburgh Women-Owned Business Enterprise event. As Valerie stated, my name is Jessica Ruffin, and I am the Director of the Social Justice Institute here at Carlow University. While this event is very much about business, there's definitely a social justice component being represented here today. Business ownership has long been a pathway for many women. I know this personally because many years ago, I had the opportunity to serve with the YWCA Greater Pittsburgh's YW Enterprising Women program, where I had the honor and privilege of assisting many women develop business plans and identify opportunities that would help them to gain access to market for their business. I learned then how important it is for women-owned business owners to have opportunities to build their social capital through mentorship and networking, and even more so, how important it is to have opportunities like this, where we are not only learning about business opportunities, but we are also identifying barriers for engagement and developing strategies for overcoming them. Sister Jane Skully, the 6th president of Carlow from 1966 until 1982, knew all about the power of mentorship and networking. She passed away last month at 100 years of age, affording us here at Carlow the opportunity to not only celebrate her life, but also her contributions to this region. Sister Jane became the first woman to serve on the board of directors of a major corporation, Gulf Oil, as well as being the first woman to become a member of the Duquesne Club. Previously, both of these institutions were male only. Sister Jane saw her entrance into both of these male-dominated worlds as an important step, not just for her, but for all women. She knew that business gets discussed beyond the office suites, decisions get made in the boardroom, but they also get made in the wood-paneled walls of the clubs and fraternal organizations too. If women didn't have seats in those places, then she knew that they would be missing out on a lot. That's what this conference is all about, helping women business owners learn about the opportunities available, make the necessary contacts, and discover the skills they need to make their businesses a success. So today on International Women's Day, we'd like to just say that Carlow is extremely proud to be the host for this important conference, and we hope that you gain so much from your participation in this event, recognizing that you are contributing to a legacy that is very near and dear to us. So that said, on behalf of Carlow, I welcome you here and wish you every success today and in your future business endeavors. Thank you. Do you want to go ahead and make this up?
You have it.
Okay. There you go.
I was trying to get out of speaking because I know that everyone wants to get together and get in the classes, right? You're here for the information. You're not here for the speaking, right? So I guess, my name is Rick Williams. I'm the Manager of Equity and Inclusion for the Office of Mayor Peduto in City of Pittsburgh. Just a couple housekeeping notes. I wanted to kind of set the tone for the day. The subtitle was, it's the business behind the work, right? And to do that, I want you to think about 4 things. 1, ask the hard questions today. All right, that's why we have a number of collaborators from business, government, and education. And the thing is that if you don't take advantage of this opportunity, it's your fault. I'll just be kind of real with you, because the opportunities for us to be able to reach out and to be able to connect everybody here is a challenge. And you go to a lot of different conferences and so forth, and you get information back and forth. We created these type of formats for you to actually ask the hard questions, be face-to-face with the decision makers, and get the information you really need to be successful. I was talking to some people earlier today as we were greeting folks, and it's just like, have you ever had in class where you get the test without preparing for it? Anybody? Anybody? You get the test without preparing for it, and you normally fail, right? At this point. And so we in the city kind of looked at that over the last couple years and said, hold on, we need to prepare people to be successful to get contracts, right? We need to be able to make sure that people get the information that they need so they can move through and be in the game, so to speak. And so that's why we created these sessions. It was based off the feedback of the last couple years of running these type of sessions, that having panels, going back and forth and so forth. Last year, we partnered with Chatham University to be able to do the networking piece. And then this year, partnering with Carlow, we decided to do more informational sessions type of thing and add the engagement piece this year. So again, I thank Carlow for taking on this with us and partnering with us. So I really thank them for taking the ball, moving with us, Jessica and her team for doing that. So that was the first thing. Second thing, network with others. You had an opportunity to network with everybody. There's another opportunity later on in the schedule to be able to do that, pass around, because potentially business partners amongst yourselves that are here in the room to do that. Not just getting the information from, the providers that are here that we assembled here today, all our partners and collaborators, but yourselves. And I don't think we have an opportunity to do that often, that you see a bid opportunity, you say, hey, that's not big. That's too big for me. I can't handle that. Maybe I could partner with someone, and maybe that partner is here today that you could partner with and work with. The third thing, get registered for future opportunities. And one of the sessions I could speak on as far as the City of Pittsburgh, we have the Beacon product. And the Beacon product allows you to get these bid opportunities to come through. That's a serious product. There's a number of things a number of areas where those bid opportunities are coming, and you want to take advantage of that because that is real. Some people were saying, oh, that's not real. It's the same old game. No, it's not the same old game because that's being monitored by me and my staff and working with our procurement department. That's a real thing. And then again, engage the presenters. So I'm good on time, but I think we're back on time. 9:15 is the first session. We did make a change in the schedule. 9:15 in room 107. For the ones who signed up for the PA General Services, unfortunately there was a travel advisory from the governor, so the Harrisburg individuals that were supposed to be here today could not make it. But we did substitute it for a second session for lane construction, for estimating and bidding. So if anyone has that interest in that, they'll be in room 107. So that's kind of the only change that we've made today for the event. And again, engage, get the information, and network with everyone. And so thank you. Thank you for participating, and we'll see you in a little bit. Thank you.
First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Olzinger, and I'm the procurement manager for the City of Pittsburgh. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I got a nice crowd here today, and thank you for your interest in doing business with the city. My first step is going to show you our website. We have our Beacon website that has officially now all of the opportunities for the city, and we also do some cross-posting of some professional service opportunities for some of the authorities like the Water and Sewer Authority, the URA, and the Housing Authority. They will, Parking Authority, sometimes they give us things to post as well to help with their outreach. So are any of you familiar with Beacon and are registered? I know we have one person over here that is familiar. I might pick on you later. So you might be sorry you told me that. If you're new to doing business with the city, which most of you are, the most important thing and the first thing that you should do is to go to our website. It's purchasing.pittsburghpa.gov, and that'll take you right to that. So if you just put that, for those of you who want to follow along, if you just type that in, purchasing.pittsburghpa.gov, it will bring you right to the Beacon screen. And as a supplier, the first thing you want to do is register. And if anybody wants to do that now, I can walk you through the process. If anybody is already registered, you can go ahead and log in if you would like to. You don't have to. This is the registration area. You would need to. What's that?
Is there a way to tell if they're already registered?
I can tell in a different tool and look it up. But if you try to do it with your tax ID, it'll error out because you can only have one account for per tax ID. For you guys in these smaller groups, you won't have an issue. But larger companies, if you're a Staples or somebody like that, they can only have one account. So a lot of times people are like, well, some guy in California registered and I don't know the username and login, so that we have to figure out who their account holder is. Because the site that we use the system is actually called WebProcure. that we use. And it is not just for the city. There's a lot of other entities. So once you register and go in, you'll automatically, when you're coming through our tool, you'll automatically be following the City of Pittsburgh. But there are others, municipal entities, state of Wisconsin, I think Baltimore, City of Baltimore uses it. So if you do business in broader areas and not just in the city, you can follow any other entity that is on Rfqs. And you can also get notifications for their opportunities as well. But you won't only get notifications for the entities that you sign up for. So if you go in and you're going to sign up for the city, you're not going to get those notifications for, Tampa or Baltimore or anything unless you go in and follow them. So we'll come back to the registration part. I want to kind of go through some other things first, and then I can help everybody register at the end. So register first. You don't have to be registered to view our opportunities, but you do need to register to get the notifications, and you need to register in order to download any documents and place bids. So, but our bid opportunities are public. Anybody can see them without having a login. So if you want to see our bid opportunities, you would click here. These are the city ones, and then for other authorities, I mentioned we do some cross-posting. So right now it tells you that we've got a couple here, one for the parking authority, and two for PWSA, and it gives you some information on those as well. But these are all the city opportunities here, and these are all types of bids. So these are our formal contracts, these are our one-time contracts, there's anything like that. So there's a couple examples here, and just want to explain to you all the difference. The city has various types of contracts. These ones that have the IFB, you're either going to be an F in front of them or an I. That just means formal or informal. And to you, that only means one thing. The estimated annual spend is over or under $30,000. And that what makes it a formal bid at the city if it's over $30,000. So that tells you, looking at it, if it's an IFIB, it will be under $30,000, and it's the FIFB, that's the formal, and that's estimated annual spend of $30,000 or more for that particular contract. We also have RFQs. Those are requests for quotes. Those are one-time purchases, and those are capped at $30,000. Anything with an IFB is an ongoing, as needed. You quote for a period of time on if you're selling widgets or whatever like that. That would be usually a 2-year contract, and it could be for 1 or 2 line items or hundreds of line items depending on the need. We also have RFPs. Those are for professional services. These, anything that I was talking about before, those are all awarded to the lowest responsible bidder by law. So it's whoever's the low bid that meets the needs. You have to meet the need too. You could be a low bid, but you maybe only bid on half of the items. Well, we need all of the items, so we have to go with the person who can provide us everything. So the RFPs are for professional services, and those are awarded based on multiple criteria, cost being one factor, but in that case, they're also looking at qualifications, they're looking at other things, references, other projects that you've done similarly, and we're looking for the best value for the city overall. If somebody may have a great price, but maybe their solution just doesn't do everything that the city wanted or isn't as nice, and we're willing to pay a little bit more for a better product in some times or some cases. So those are all, and then we also have pre-qualified contracts. was mentioning this earlier. So our pre-qualified contracts are mostly project basis, on a project basis, but we pre-qualify vendors ahead of time so that they usually need to have, a minimum amount of years in business. Lost my train of thought there. You have to have, depending on what it is, you may need certain licenses and things like that. This particular one is for photography, videography, and editing services. So if the city needs to maybe do a commercial or something like that on an as-needed basis, they would come to this list of pre-qualified folks who the departments have looked at ahead of time and said, yes, they meet the criteria that we're looking for. They have these skills, these, editing software that we want them to use, and whatever the requirements are. And they're on the list. So then now we have a project. We take the project out, and we would bid those out only to the people who have been pre-qualified.
What's the minimum amount of years?
Minimum amount of
Years.
They're all different, depending on what, each pre-qualified contract has their own criteria and different things. So this particular one, these are the only things that you need to submit. And it tells you the specifications and things like that. Now, this one's a pretty simple one. It doesn't have a lot of qualifications, but some of our we have ones that are for excavating and snow removal, right? You have to have, there's certain equipment they expect you to have. They don't want you to have to go rent equipment. They want you to have equipment so that when we need you and we call you, you have the dump truck or you have the bulldozer or things like that. So. There's ones for printing, printed materials, things like that, things that we can't do in-house in our own print shop. We have a print shop at the city, but sometimes there's bigger jobs or trifold, fancier things where we need some design with that, or we want you to print it and mail it, and we can't do that at the city, so we would outsource those. You might have to have certain types of equipment and things like that. Some of our demolition bids, they were, you have to have dumpsters and things like that. So, so that is one example of our pre-qual. Again, you can view any of these and download them in a PDF format. But in order to bid, if you decide you want to bid, you do have to be registered to bid. So the pre-qualified contracts are kind of a nice thing. There's a lot of opportunity in those, I think, for subcontracting. A lot of times, smaller businesses get intimidated of our larger contracts because they think maybe it's too much for them. They'd write, maybe can just, or you can't do everything, but you can do a small part of it. The city always wants to include small businesses, minority businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, in part of our projects as much as we can. Everybody has goals. Ours are 18 and 7 right now for participation. So what I always suggest to the smaller businesses is take a look at our current contracts, right? Not necessarily what you can bid on now, but what contracts does the city have? So I'm searching PQ for our pre-quals. And you can go in here and say, hey, I'm in construction, I do something like that. So, who has the city construction contracts? So here's our pre-qual, general construction. There's a couple of them here. So these are the pre-qualified lists. So we have all of these companies that are on our pre-qualified contract for construction. Well, I think one of the gentlemen that I met in another one of these things, he had a company that did the flaggers. So I said, come out here, go to see who the contract holders are for general construction, and contact these people and say, hey, I want to be a subcontractor for you. I know you work for the city. You're a construction guy, you're going to need flaggers. Hire me to do your flagging. So you got to, market yourself that way, market yourself to our suppliers to become a subcontractor. It's hard. A lot of times we get a lot of questions. Hey, I see this bid is out here, and I can do part of this. I want to be somebody who's bidding on it. Well, we don't know who's going to bid on it. We can see on our end if somebody's looked at the document, but we don't know who's going to bid a lot of times until a day or two before when we see some of the bids coming in, and then they've already got their paperwork. So it's really hard for us to predict who's going to bid. We can maybe tell you, well, these are the people that bid on it the last time, but we're not sure who you could sub with. So I always say, look at the existing contracts and go reach out to those people in your type of service that you have, and say, hey, I can do this for you. I can do this portion of your business. We have a lady that I think she was at this exact conference last year. She has a trucking company, and she contacted our demolition vendors, and she got signed on with one of them as a subcontractor to do all of their hauling. So they do the city demolitions, they subcontract to her to haul it all away. So she's very successful in doing that. So that's something that I highly recommend that you do. But then this is our tool. So anything, somebody give me what their business is. I know you're printing, but. So here's our pre-qualified for printing. There's other types of things too that will come up. Some things, when you're searching on keywords, you're not always gonna, everything's not always going to apply to you. But we have, these particular folks. Maybe you're a graphic designer, and you want to go and say, hey, I'm going to go look at everybody that's on the printing contracts, and I'm going to contact them to see if they want to need to subcontract some design services to me. Or maybe somebody can print them, but they're going to subcontract the mailing portion to you, or something like that you would do. Maybe they need, you have a machine that they don't have, and if they have a certain job, and maybe you're a printer also, but they can subcontract to you. Hey, I don't have something that binds, and you do.
Some of them say contact purchasing or contact procurement before using. What's that for?
Right. So what that is, so this is not only, this is a public-facing site to share all of our contracts with everyone, but this is also the tool that our internal staff use to figure out what contracts we have when they need to buy something. So all of our pre-qualified contracts will say contact procurement before using. So that is a note to our staff that they need to come to us because there are particular rules and things when they're bidding that they need to follow. So that's a note to them. There's something special about this contract. I need to call procurement and ask to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. So in the case of a pre-qual contract, our requirement is if it's over $3,000, that we have to bid to everybody on the list. If it's under $3,000, they're allowed to just pick one person. And that's just in line with our city code, and our $3,000 is kind of the marker where if it's under $3,000, people can just go buy things. If there's not a contract, or even or if there is, they can just go buy something if it's under $3,000. But anything over $3,000 has to be bid in some way. So that contract procurement or purchasing before using is the note to our internal staff, letting them know that there are rules. There's a particular one here. This is a state contract that we use for consulting. And it says contract procurement before using. This is a state contract, so the state has very particular rules that are different from ours on how those get bid. And each one of their it's their version of a pre-qualified, the ITQs on the state. So state contracts are another good place to look. And and get qualified and getting on their pre-qualified list as well. But the state has, if it's a certain amount of money, say $50,000, you're required to solicit there's hundreds of people or vendors on these state contracts, and we are required to solicit 5 small businesses along with whoever else we wanted to solicit that is on that contract and that pre-qualified list. And if it's certain, it's different, each contract is different and has different rules. So we need to make sure that we're in compliance with also the rules of the state contracts as well. And they keep changing, so we put these notes out there. So it's kind of a very long answer, but that's what it means, that there's something special about them that we need to make sure that we're following and compliant with the procedures, policies. So these are all of our open bids and our closed ones. So if we go to awarded, you want to just see the awarded ones, or maybe if you know a particular one that you bid on, it was, FIFB 470, you could just, type in 470 and go straight to that if you wanted. So this was a particular one. This was for linens. And you see here's a supplier that was awarded, and you also see their pricing. So you can see if you had to bid on this particular one was for an event where we needed coat racks, linens, tablecloths, things like that. You can see who won, what their price was, and then you can compare your pricing. It's like, how far off was I? Was I pretty close? Were they way lower than than me, or was I way high? Was I Or, you can also go back to see, especially when, if you're starting or you're newer and you're newer to a certain market, it can give you an idea, too, of what you should be charging. Yes, ma'am.
Will that also appear on the pre-quals? So those are typically like open-ended, right?
Right. Pre-quals are open enrollment, yes.
So if a project comes through and then, I'm on the pre-qual that I didn't win, that will still show up, that specific project can still fall under the same number?
Right. Well, each bid under, you'll get.
Does that make sense? Sorry.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So when you first initially sign up, you're going to be, the contract will be a PQMA, which means master agreement in our language. But then when we have individual solicitations, once we get it, you're pre-qualified, okay, now we have a job, they're going to show up on here as a PQBS, so it's a pre-qualified bid solicitation, is the abbreviation there. And each job, so right now, this is the one that we have, and this particular one was canceled.
So the number will stay the same, it will just say PQBS?
No, and the number will change every time. Each individual solicitation under the pre-qual will have a different number. Okay? So if you bid on one, and there was, 5 or 6 people on the list, and 5, not everybody always bids. Just because you're on a pre-qualified list, you don't have to bid on every job that comes up. If you can't do that particular job, or you can't meet the timeline or something like that, we'll send it out to all 8 people, and usually we'll, maybe you get half the people to respond. Sometimes you get all. It just depends, I think, on the particular job and the work and the requirements. So, but it will tell you here who won that individual solicitation from your peer group. So, of the participants on those main contracts. Do we have any other questions? Okay. If not, I was going to possibly see if you would log into your account so we can show them what the vendor side looks like.
Sure. Kind of a general question. How long has the City of Pittsburgh been doing this system?
So this is what I like to call Beacon 2.0. So we had originally started with a website, and all that did was just allow us to post our opportunities, get people to register, and notify them by email when opportunities come. But you couldn't bid online or pull down documents. It was just basically a list, right? It says, here's what it is, and then call so-and-so to get the paperwork. So now,
you go under
great, see, you're
solicitations?
following. What's that?
Do you go under solicitations?
So this is what it looks like when you are registered, and you can see, she's a great example. She's following not just the city of Pittsburgh, but she has gone in and said, hey, I'm a printer, but I can do stuff for Mississippi, state of, so she's followed, are you following pretty much everybody?
Pretty much everybody.
Pretty much everybody that is in government. And this is a newer tool. It's specifically built for governments. So there's not, a ton of companies using it right now, but because it's pretty new. So we moved to this tool so that we could just take that next step of not just, getting a list out there, but to actually take our bids and also make sure that we're in compliance with our sealed bid, get rid, stop a lot of the paper as well. So a lot of the struggles. And it also, by being online, it gives people more time. Because if a bid closes on Monday at 4 o'clock, you can be online until 3:30 submitting your bid, but if you had to mail it in or whatever, or bring it in or make sure that it's there, a lot of times you have to do it a couple days ahead of time. So it's also allowing us to have people, even last minute bidders, on some smaller things to come in. So if you go under solicitations,
Get a second one.
it will tell you by agency. So this is what it looks like on your end as a vendor once you sign up. And so those were the ones that, it says my list, right? So those are the ones that came up with your, whatever codes she selected in areas and categories. So when you sign up, you pick the categories that you would like to receive notifications on. Basically, it's the areas that you do business in. So obviously, her list shows things where we might have selected that there might be something printing related. But if you go to other, it shows you everything. So obviously, she's not going to get a notification on paving materials because she's a printer. But you can still see all of our other opportunities just in case there's something that you see.
There it is.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what code is on there and why you didn't see that, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'll look into it.
Yeah, so it does say viewed, somebody looked at it.
Yeah.
So you can go into here and see the entire solicitation. The requirements. If there were questions that you needed to fill out, they would be here. You can take a look at your response once you've filled it out to see what it's going to look like.
Could you clarify the amendments and how that works?
Sure.
For everybody, because it's sometimes a little confusing.
Yes, so, thank you. So if we look for, she had a question on amendments. So any that go into an amended status. So if you're following an opportunity and you've downloaded the bid and everything like that, you will get an alert if the city has done an amendment. We could change, 9 times out of 10 when we do an amendment, it's extending the deadline. And you really won't see any difference. You'll only see, really the only change would be the date. So this one here has a couple addendums. We extended it again, and so our questions and answers, so when we do the professional services contracts, we always allow everybody an opportunity to ask questions, have clarifications, engage, because a lot of things are when you're not buying a widget, there's a lot of gray area, right? So we always give a cutoff for questions. We have everybody submit their questions electronically, in writing, and then the team that is working on that particular RFP will answer the questions in a similar manner to this. We take all of the questions. We don't answer any questions individually. We wait, we collect them all, and then we submit all of the answers to everyone at the same time, so that, in our minds, we could take questions and go back and forth in emails or have conversations, but we really just think that it's best, number one, to give everybody the same answer, a consistent answer, and also that everybody's getting them at the same time, so that everybody basically, they're playing with the same deck of cards. You didn't get your answer 2 weeks ago, and now you have a head start on me. So we just think that that's kind of just the fair way to do it and the right way to do it, so that's why we do it this way. So that's kind of what the addendums are, and they could be anything. We could be updating, if it's a commodity bid, we could be changing part numbers. We realized we had, or we could be add line items, take line items off. We could be doing something like that as well on the addendums. So anything that's amended, you'll see. And I believe in the supplier view, you'll get an icon and you'll be able to view the changes, and it'll show you what the difference is and what changed. Do you have any other questions? No? If not, if anybody wants to register, we have a few more minutes here. You can click on the registration button, and I can walk around and help anybody with any questions that they might have in getting registered.